Hello, good afternoon and welcome back to Hellspawn's World YouTube channel. Now when I started my YouTube channel, I launched my channel off getting the first generation Ryzen X370 motherboard with a 1700X Ryzen CPU. But as new software comes out, we have to push our hardware even further. And with the introduction of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, it has been recommended to have 32 GB of RAM to play the game at 4K maximum settings. So to start my upgrade process off, I have invested in some Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro RAM. And this time the RAM is optimized for AMD Ryzen. But because I've got a first generation Ryzen CPU that wasn't exactly brilliant with the memory controller and memory compatibility, I thought I'd do this quick video to see how the new RAM runs in my current system. Now what I went for, I've bought the DDR4 32 GB, 2x16 gig sticks. Reason being, the current X370 Asus motherboard that I have has a dual memory configuration, and with first gen Ryzen, running memory with 4 memory sticks doesn't always guarantee that you'll get the best compatibility or performance. Now this memory is 3600 MHz. Now the Infinity Fabric, the first generation Ryzen, like I say, is a bit sketchy. The RAM I've currently got, which is red RGB Corsair Vengeance, I can only run that at 33 MHz. I'm going to see if we can get any better performance with this memory in this system until maybe later this year I upgrade the whole system. Anyway, enough chatting. We'll move on to getting the RAM installed in the machine, and then we'll see just how this memory runs with a first gen Ryzen processor. Okay, so putting new RAM into your machine is really easy. It's probably one of the easiest upgrade tasks you can do to a PC. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to get the side panel off. So on my machine here, dependent on your motherboard, I've got the Crosshair 6 Hero motherboard, and here is my current RAM. Now what I've done, I've put the pipes for the AIO, the water pump is here, the radiator's over here. So I've fed them over the RAM, and I put them underneath the main power cable for the system. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to release the power cable, take that off, the 24 pin. I'm then going to move these pipes out of the way. With this Corsair RAM that I had before, the RGB elements were just here. Because this is the RGB Pro memory, we've got an element that comes all the way across. So I may reroute the water pump pipes just below the RAM, just above the top of the graphics card, and does need the dust. Okay, so I'm going to take the 24 pin plug out. That's got a little latch there, and that has actually come out far easier than I expected. Now, I might have to point this pipe down a bit. It is movable, only to the side though. I'll have to try and work that out, so I can't really force them down anymore. But taking your RAM in and out, on this motherboard there is a little clip here at the very top, and if I push that, that should release the stick, not the cover. And yeah, there's only one bottom thing on there. Does that actually come open? There we go. So if I pop that on there, you can actually see its RGB strip is actually all the way across on this RAM actually. If I put that back on, it's only a little cover. So this is the Vengeance red LED RAM that I had. This is 16 GB. So I'm just going to take the other stick out. Now you need to remember which slots you're using, and you should look at your motherboard manual for that, because two of the main slots will be for the dual channel memory, and then all of the slots would be for memory configurations of 4 sticks. Now, quick way to tell on this, the very light grey is the slots I'm using, and the black slots are the ones we're not going to use. So that's, I've wrapped the cables quite tight around there. Let's pop that up. There we go, that's the other stick out. So now the machine's got no RAM in it at the moment. So simply to upgrade, let's get this opened up. Now if you look at this, you can see Corsair Vengeance is pretty similar. The Vengeance LED and the Vengeance RGB Pro, it's almost the same thing really. So when you bring RAM back into your machine, you'll notice that there's a little notch within the memory, and you have to get that aligned with the notch in the slot. It will only go in one way, and if you put it the wrong way around, it will not fit. So very gently make sure you've got it in the right place, and then clip it in. And I'm just going to hold the back of the machine while I just firmly push that in, and that is clipped in. The clip will close itself as the memory goes in. So if you're unsure which way it goes in the second slot, just follow the orientation of the first slot. So that side with the graphics on is going to be facing towards me. There we go. So that's firmly clipped in, and that is the RAM upgraded. As I mentioned, I think what I'm going to do, rather than putting the water cooling pipes over the memory, what I'm going to do now is just leave them out like that. I'm not really going to be able to pin them down underneath, so they're too tight. Is all I need to do is re-put the 24 pin in there, clip that in, that's clipped back into the motherboard. Once again, just make sure that that's firmly in, and that is upgrading your RAM. We'll get the side put back on, we'll get the machine hooked up, and now I'll do some tests to see what speed we can get this running at. Okay guys, so about a week and a bit has passed from when you've just seen me. The ending of the video didn't go quite how I planned it, and what I'd actually done is film the iCUE software with all the different lighting options of the Corsair RGB Pro RAM. But the problem is, everything was based on the RAM running at 3600 MHz. And by a stroke of luck, on the day that I first set the RAM up, it ran sweetly, solidly at 3600 MHz. I didn't imagine it, I didn't mistakenly think it was running at 3600 MHz. I ran Cinebench, I ran Cinebench R20, I'd done some 3D Mark Time Spy runs. The system was running sweetly at 3600 MHz. And because on the Saturday I didn't finish all the filming, I had some other stuff to do, I thought I'd continue with the video on Sunday. On Sunday the machine would not boot at 3600 MHz. I received my usual 0D error that I do get from time to time, but normally knocking the power plug off, maybe cycling through the BIOS, going back into the BIOS but not saving any settings, normally gets the machine to boot, but it would have none of it. I then upgraded the BIOS. Sorry, I can't remember the version off the top of my head, but it's the last version that had AGESA 1006, which is probably the best for first gen Ryzen. And after upgrading to that BIOS, every time I went near 3600 MHz, although the machine would boot, I had a blue screen, I had instability, applications weren't loading correctly, and it was just being absolutely weird. So I reeled it all the way back to where the overclocks I'd had before and ran at 31-33 MHz, and it ran absolutely fine. So I decided to try for 3200 MHz. And again I had issues. Now, knowing that I'd ran at 3600 MHz, I thought about, well, I'll raise the voltages on the RAM very slightly, and I haven't had to do before. I raised the SoC voltage just very slightly, and I ran perfectly at 3200 MHz. This is when I ran a few performance tests, and in Cinebench R20 it saves your score. and my 3200 megahertz score was actually higher than the score I got with 3600 megahertz, and that's when I decided, do you know what, I'm not going to keep chasing higher memory speeds. I've now got 32 gig of RAM running at 3200 megahertz. It's made a huge improvement to the machine. In applications like the Adobe suite, it's running better than ever. Some of the lag and the timeouts that I had disappeared. Just the system in general seems more sprightly, and just how things are opening and loading, as a user experience, I feel it's a lot better. Now, as I mentioned earlier, the original footage I'd filmed was me going through the iQ software. Maybe that's something, if you want to see it, let me know in the comments below. I can do in the future, but for now, as I've been talking to you, I should say, you would have saw just at the side in the background, somewhere around here, the actual memory cycling through. I just wanted to show you what it looked like in the machine, and at the very end, I'll just show you what I decided my final settings are, because I altered the NZXT Kracken X62 just to reflect the new colour scheme. So this video didn't actually go as I planned it or how I thought it would. I seemed to hit the holy grail on the first attempt, and then realised after that the first gen Ryzen Infinity Fabric and stability, such a fine line. So was me buying 3600 megahertz a waste? Should I have got lower speed RAM? Well, no, as I've said at the start of this video, I think I'm now firmly decided I'm going to upgrade to the Ryzen 4000 series CPUs. If you're a new subscriber, this is the first time you've seen one of my videos, please subscribe, please like the video. I'm only a small channel, I'm not as professional or unprofessional as I look. And please go and check out some of my other videos. I do cover a diverse number of subjects. Anyway, thank you for watching. I've rambled on far too long for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. See you in the next one, and peace out.